Hello, everyone. I'm really excited because today I've got AJ Roberts again, and everybody really enjoyed having you on my channel last time. So, what have you been doing, AJ? What's all your news? What have you been seeing out and about when you've been traveling up and down the country?
Yes, thank you very much, Michelle, and always a pleasure. You've got a fantastic audience, actually. I had a lot of really great feedback from our last podcast, so thank you. Yeah, I've been a busy boy since we last spoke. I've been traveling around the country doing talks. I was basically visiting a lot of venues and a lot of people. My talk was called Mission Consciousness, the Human Experience, because I was basically showing people the power of the mind, the body, how we, expand our energy fields, how we expand our consciousness, how we open our third eye, how we just, and in doing so, we live a, more prosperous life and see past all the illusions and all that kind of stuff. So really, in essence, giving people the tools they need to see past all the BS that's being presented to us on a daily basis. It's literally just one bit of chaos after the other, isn't it? And it can cause a lot of fear, as we well know. We've seen it all over the last few years. So the talks are very much geared towards people kind of going through a shift where they're kind of not sure where that direction is taking them, that bit of clarity.
Hmm.
But as a result of traveling around so much, I'm privy to like hundreds of conversations, seeing like what amazing work people are doing in different areas, um, more important, well, I guess more importantly, seeing the roles that people are stepping into, like post 2020, like the amount of people that are just doing completely different things, like many people we know are, aren't we? So some people were postmen and office workers, or worked in the NHS, like wherever that may be, and so many people are doing completely different things. So it's great to see what results have come of that, but also share that with other people to show like you can do this. You don't have to do this
Hmm.
9 till 5, be in the rat race on the debt cycle role. There's so much stuff out there for you, and a big part of my talks and like my courses I run kind of give people the tools for people to gain that clarity and start fulfilling that soul's mission. Um, and I've been doing workshops with the amazing Farah Aware, who obviously you've met, and
Yeah.
that that works really really well. And I've been getting a lot of people coming to my talks and on my courses now as well that had the government's new medicine that are either had been injured from it or just like that's what woke them up. And they're absolutely flying, which is amazing. And so it's been really great to be a part of that and help them. Um,
So, AJ,
so
when you say you're seeing all these new levels of consciousness around you,
yeah.
is that because people are signing up to do courses with you, or are you going to sort of like, are you hosting like meetings in
Oh,
certain venues and different
yeah,
people
yeah.
are just arriving now?
Yeah. And all rare things. Everything from like friends, old friends, to family members, to the people coming to the talks, like what they then get from the talk and the feedbacks I get. The courses really kind of elevate people's consciousness who are already going through kind of like a deep awakening. They've kind of started to see, worked out, oh, the media and the government maybe colluding with each other to do bad things. Like some time ago have gone through that those waves and are now at a place where it's coming back to self and improving their own level of consciousness. My courses teach people about meditation, different types of breath work to aid that by connecting people to their star family and also their galactic family as well, which is like super powerful. So people are taking a keen interest in that, but it's all in line with people discovering who they are and actually where they come from, but also how powerful they are compared to, I don't know, even a year ago when people are still running around, arguing over masks, chemtrails, 5G,
Yeah, yeah.
just all that stuff. It's very much there as part of the collective consciousness, as part of the collective awakening. You only have to look on social media and you just see gazillions of people, don't you, posting photos of the sky like every day, like, which is a sign of the level of collective consciousness is raised because that person's obviously looking up. Their followers and supporters then going, yeah, actually, he's got a point in looking up. So it's actually things like that have been really great awakening tools, but people have got to the point now where they see that for what it is. They're like, thank you, and they know there's always two narratives to everything, but it's like, now what do I do? Like, my soul's like here on the edge of like bursting to go, like what's the next step? What's my mission? So that's what I'm finding so many more people are at now. Um,
So what I've been finding, AJ, is a lot more people are dissatisfied with what they're doing with their lives. Like you were saying,
yeah.
they're in a job which they've been doing maybe for 20 years, never really
Mm,
questioned it. It was just what they did. They get up, go to work, come home, whatever. They just go through this kind of routine. They don't really think why they're doing it. So what people around me are experiencing suddenly are these kind of senses of depression, or like, what am I here for? What's the point of
mm,
it all? And I often talk about, this is what awakening is. It's about when you get to this point where you think, you question everything. You question,
mm,
what is my purpose? Why am I getting up every day to do this? Am I actually really very happy with this? I would prefer to be fishing, or healing animals, or what,
mm,
planting seeds in the garden, or whatever. And people are now kind of able to have that thought process where they can actually think, do I want to continue going to this job every day? Or do I want to try and move into this other lane, which would make me
mm,
happier? And some of them have already started to make the transition. But the people that I'm seeing on the whole are the ones that are at that point where they're making that sort of awareness of something's not right. And
mm,
in terms of people talking about the issues that we've been talking about for some time, I've noticed that it's not so difficult now to go into a public place and bring up a conversation about things, and people are willing now to sometimes even have a lot of information come back at you.
mm,
Whereas
mm.
before, you just had that kind of blank stare, or you had that rage, the
Mm.
rage that you just got for no reason.
Yeah, yeah. I think one of the biggest talking points I'm hearing everywhere is from even from like from friends who were kind of bought into the narrative initially, like just through the fear, and they've all got their own stories. They're all like they work for people, like their jobs put the pressure on them, and all this kind of stuff. Like one of the key things is that they've all mentioned about how big pharma's a complete joke to keep. They just want to keep us sick. Like that's the noticeable thing. Doctors are just interested in giving you pills as soon as you go there. They don't care about your problems. Like, every time I sit in the sauna in my gym, there's usually kind of like people in their 50s, 60s talking about ailments, but they're like they don't want to go to the doctors because they're like they just give you pills. So they're like people are really breaking through that illusion that big pharma's there to be our friend.
Yeah,
And I think that's the biggest thing I've noticed. And then once they open their eyes to that, they're like, well, why do they want to keep us sick?
yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, I think
Um,
that's maybe what the plan was of the white hats, was to go at this more gentle approach, because it is working. It is working now. But in the 3 years that we've been sitting here waiting, you and me, it's felt like an age. We felt
mm,
like nothing's happening. There's no disclosure. People aren't getting it. But they have been having the seeds put in, and it's all been germinating. And now it's the time when it's all coming out, and we can see that all the time change had been happening, but it had been happening maybe underneath, whereas we were more verbal and talking about it, and out there. Other people just needed a bit more time. But I'm definitely seeing changes. Definitely.
yeah, yeah, and I'm seeing changes in people. I'm seeing that people as well that are a lot brighter. There's a lot of glow to people. So people are kind of pushed through this, and family members I know that have, you can, they're concentrating on their health. They're like having
Mm.
ice baths in the morning. They're getting into breath work, like, and I know some of these people have witnessed members of their own family go through like chemo and all the whole basically the family members being a product of big pharma, so they've witnessed all that themselves, and I think that's been a big part of their shift. And so many people are seeing turbo cancers and people and stuff like that. And I had my uncle's funeral back in end of November, and he got turbo cancer of the lungs. I think he had like 4 shots and a flu shot, and then from then it like his whole respiratory system went downhill. But then like I had a cousin come up to me at the funeral and ask me for help because he's got lymphomas all over his back, from AstraZeneca shots and stuff. So they're actively, and he said to me like he was really proud of me and how I stood my ground, and he was really proud of Matt Letizia, who's like his favorite footballer of all time. He's like his hero. So he said he's like seeing my cousin and my hero, battle it out against the government's like pretty awesome. He's like, but he openly saw help from me. Um, and then it opened up like more conversations with like another uncle who had a heart attack, and he said, "Oh, it's definitely because of this, definitely because of that." And they were openly talking about it a couple of weeks later on my dad's birthday, and I purposely went round and like hugged everyone in the family, and most of them like didn't want to let go. You could literally see like how there's that
Lovely.
feeling of connection was like, whoa, you know what I mean? And then they were just literally like, I couldn't shut any of them up. You
Yeah.
know, it was great. So I'm seeing it on mass. It is good, and I think it's helping us all in in a terms of leverage, you know, because people are seeing that the police absolutely aren't doing their jobs at anything. They turn a blind eye to everything. People have started to see the severity of the sheer darkness of the trafficking situation we have in the United States, we have in Europe, we have in the UK, and how horrendous it actually is. People, and I think, you know, the release of all the Epstein details, and also this now explosion of like the grooming gang situation again has come to the surface, but also it's highlighting, which I do think is a white hat operation. They're using the media highlighting that the police, the social services, the councils are all at fault for X, Y, and Z, because that's putting that into the minds, the subconscious of the people who follow the news.
Yeah.
Um, that it's actually just not, it's not localized to Rochdale and Oldham and stuff like that. It's happening all around the whole country. So again, that as the consciousness and awareness is rising, the ability to be able to process this information, no matter how dark it is a lot greater than what it's ever been. So you know, I've been very vocal about the fact that myself, and there's lots of veterans, lots of ex-police, lots of therapists, lots of ex-special forces, people have all come forward in the hundreds that want to basically tackle this. I don't think we would have been able to do that 2 years ago.
Well, there's been a big change. I've known you for about what, 2.5, 3 years now.
Yeah.
And the way that you are energetically is very different to when I met you.
Mm,
So the way, because I view people through energetic vibration and what I call sonic and sounds. And so when I first met you and you were doing this great job that you've been doing all this time, you were more in what I call a strive mode, which is where you're kind of pushing into it. You're
mm,
striving into it. You're kind of trying to persuade people to do it. And then as the time's gone on and you've become more centered in your own light, which has risen tenfold, hundredfold,
mm,
your light now is so different to when I met you. What you're presenting to me now energetically is someone who's more laid back, centered, and in the flow. And this is how you are attracting people to you in a way that they're more open, because you're not pushing against them with your energy. You're
mm,
now comfortable with who you are. You're in the moment. You're not striving. You're being. And when we become beings, and we're just happy with our own soul and what we're doing and our purpose, we know what we're doing and we're happy with it. People then can come towards us because we attract them like magnets, because they want to know why we are so peaceful. They don't know this mentally. On a
mm,
subconscious level, they're drawn to us because we are peaceful with who we are. So the reason that you're also seeing a lot of change around you is reflective of the change inside of you.
mm. Yeah, absolutely.
Because you've been doing a lot of teaching and a lot of inner work, you're now seeing that what you're bringing towards you is different.
Mm,
So sometimes, well, as you know, what we are on the inside is what we see on the out. So I think the fact that you're seeing so many people now that are willing to say to you, you know, this is amazing, this is what I'm up to, how do I go forward, is a reflection on how well you have been doing in your inner work.
mm,
And as I said, when I'm sitting here now, you're bright, very bright light. And that's why we're getting you affecting so many people in a positive way.
mm,
And you were saying to me that when you go and you teach about, you know, expanding consciousness and things like that, I just wanted to ask you, If you could just think of like one thing that people could do if they didn't perhaps understand how they can do that, how they could start, what would you say they could do each day that could help them to be in a state of flow like you are?
Well, I mean, if you're not, the key thing I think is if you're not already doing so, is to start meditating. And even if it's just like start with 5 minutes, and whether it's just shutting off from the world, just you don't have to necessarily, you don't, this whole taboo stigma around it. You don't need to put a robe on and sit on the edge of a cliff with crystals strapped to your head and a big staff or anything. Just find yourself a nice quiet spot. If you
I've
want to listen
heard that you've
to,
been doing that, AJ.
oh yeah, yeah.
The staff on the mount.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I get my my masking tape and my crystals and that, and I just like whiz all around and um yeah. So even if it's 5 minutes in your house, just center yourself, focus on your breath, and just just start getting practicing setting intentions of like what you want to achieve, what you want to do. Well, when I first started doing it like a few years back, I was like, right, I really like speaking in front of crowds. Like, what are the 5 countries that I want to learn to speak? Or I want to really speak at, sorry. And they literally came to me in the meditation. So I wrote them down and I've still got them on my board now, just little things like that. And because you get all the answers from within, people are working out that everything's the distraction, or they'll admit to themselves, I get distracted so easily, from
Yeah.
social media or the news or Netflix, whatever.
Yeah.
Um, so that people are very aware of that now. So just a case of just even if it start off with 5 minutes, listen to some music, download my free meditation album on my website. That's what it's there for. Do you know what I mean? It's like
So people are always in the mode of saying, for instance, oh God, help me, which is praying,
yes,
asking for things. And the meditation is where you listen to what the answer is.
yes,
People are always busy saying, oh, I need help with this, but then they don't take the time to listen to what the answer is. And
hmm.
like you were saying, meditation, you can actually have mindfulness, which is meditation in action.
Hmm.
So you can just be going for a walk and you can be meditating during your walk through just taking time to notice how you're stepping, how you're breathing, what the sounds are around you, the
Hmm.
smells around you. So there are different ways of meditation. And the more that you try it and do it, the easier it becomes and the longer you can maintain it. Because it's
100%.
not an easy process when you're starting out.
Especially for mothers. This is a thing I find is and on all the courses that the mothers are the ones that struggle the most at first because they're so used to pouring out all the time and their minds constantly fixated on doing things for others, like the kids, right? So they'll sit in meditation and the next thing's like, oh, I've got to sort Johnny's little lunchbox out. I've got a school run. I've got this. I've got that. Oh, I need to do this. And then they get all flustered and go, I can't do it. You know, um,
Yeah.
but it's just a consistency and then the mothers especially, like once they get consistent, they don't want to do anything else. But also the dynamics of the whole household change. And then that just by them practicing meditation, it's like teaching the kids. And it's like it has the biggest knock-on effect. And right now I'm seeing the level of these children coming through. It's another great thing about traveling around so much and having such close friends with quite gifted children. But they're all gifted, really. They're just heavily suppressed. But I'm seeing so many children racing through the frequencies now. I was sat with my nephew on Christmas Day on purpose, built Lego for 3 hours, built a space station. I was like literally in my element. It was like the best thing ever. And he's just turned 9, and he's saying about how he keeps getting earringing all the time
Yeah.
at the minute. And he's like, hey, when I go to bed at night, I'm like thinking of stuff, and then it's like happening the next day. Um, and then like literally as he's talking to me about it, all I hear is my mother-in-law from the living room going, "Ow, I missed the King's speech." And I was just like, you could have said that at the most perfect time. It just shows you the difference. And then he's 9, and he says to me, um, he says, "Why do people like just want to sit there and be distracted by the TV when they can do creative stuff like this?" Like he's 9. So it's like there's children like this everywhere. And unfortunately they haven't got necessarily the people around them to talk to about it because they don't understand because they're so busy. They're so drawn into the matrix, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To pay for the bills, to put food on the table. It's no one's fault, but that's what I'm seeing a lot of at the minute. You're seeing these kids that just get it, and then the parents are just like the ones on the wheel. you know. So it's like trying to create some space like for these children to openly talk about like their experiences and what they're feeling and what manifestation means and like how powerful their little minds are away from all the indoctrination, you know.
Sounds like that's going to be your next course design then, actually.
I'm actually writing an actual meditation for kids ebook type thing now that any parents can download, and it's actually story based. So it's based on a character.
That's brilliant. I really like
Um,
that idea because, like you were saying, the parents are also stressed and racing around and trying to get through life.
yeah.
Sometimes they miss these moments where they can just be with their child and do these things that you're talking about, because often we're rushing to get them to school or get to work or whatever is on the to-do list today.
Hmm.
Going back to the Epstein conversation, I've just actually done a video this morning, which I'm going to put
Mm,
out. Um, they were saying to me, I mean, we couldn't have talked about this 3 years ago. This would
yeah.
have, been deleted or, overlooked. Our families would have laughed at us probably.
Mm,
But some of the information I've been getting is that, like in the early days, Epstein was a honey trap. He was
yeah.
setting people up to blackmail them to get money, and then later on, the agencies got involved, and he was working for them, and so
Hmm.
he was giving he was still honey trapping people, bringing them across to the island, and then giving that information back to the agencies. I mean, what are your thoughts on that, AJ?
So I always say to people like now, there's two narratives to everything, you know. Like I refer to chemtrails as like a good example. So you've got one narrative is like, oh, that's spraying us and killing us, and my nan's going to die from a cough and all this kind of stuff. But we've not seen that happen anywhere. But the other narrative is, well, actually, is there good stuff in this that's cleansing the lands, but it also acts as like massive cover for craft to move around. And also to you can use the cover and technology to pacify the land that's been so heavily infiltrated. Like we in UK, we live on like the most evil country in the world probably, but they've kept this land dense on purpose because it's so powerful. You know, so there's lots of elements of that that people don't think about because they're not thinking at things from a quantum level. So like with the Epstein thing, I agree. Like use somebody like that to entrap all of these
Yeah.
people because you get them all at once, give or take. You know, if maybe one here or there. But then you put that into the human subconscious then, and it given my line of work, it is a bit frustrating, but it's a good tool that people's minds are more like on, oh, which one of my Hollywood heroes is actually a pedo? Like they're looking there rather than, well, who's the pedo in my kid's school? Who's the pedo in my council? What's going on with my MP? Like, are these people all working together? Why? You know, but the human mind's getting there because more and more is coming out, like I said, about the grooming gangs and stuff like that. But at this present moment in time, I think it's all by design. The way they've ramped it up and it's all over the media. You know, they're throwing Prince Andrew in there, Fergie, Charles. You know, like all like it's literally like it's like Royal Rumble, like of who's who of the pedo world, right? Um, and that's what people are seeing. But it's I'm not necessarily getting people excited, but it's what's on what everyone's talking about because people have been heavily programmed to talk about celebrities, royals, and hold them on as high regard. So it's like,
It's interesting because one of the other things I've just put out is that a lot of the Hollywood people will be coming forward, and it will be seen that even though they've been doing certain satanic symbolism, for example, or
mm,
satanic videos, like you think about The Weekend or who's that other one that was recently pulled up? The girls, they're always doing these satanic videos. That is because they are working for the white hats and they're
yeah,
trying to make it overtly obvious to people how horrible and bad this is by doing it so much that you can't miss it.
yeah, yeah,
So there's sting operations going on all different levels with the white
yeah,
hats involved.
yeah,
And so like you were saying, I think that it's getting more and more into the media now where people are like we were saying at the beginning, they're now talking about these things more openly and not shying away from us talking about these words like
I
child trafficking.
Yeah, I think as well, because of previous movies and what's happened to previous celebrities, whether they're dead or not, I think that the fear of like openly speaking out is going to get you killed like the minute you say anything. Like you only project that, like you're saying, you project that fear, so that fear will manifest. But if you've got like a real burning desire, which I've literally witnessed in hundreds of people who come forward, as soon as I put an expression of interest out about cracking down on this, the amount of interest we had, and I'd say 50% of the people who sent us emails had the line in there, "I was born for this." So it's like this ignited fire in people's bellies of like suddenly, because they know how deep darkness is now, of like all that, they don't want to do anything else. To them, nothing is more important than saving the children. And for me at the minute, nothing's more important to me
Yeah.
personally. And I know it is to a lot of other people, because there's some horrendous things happening like right under everyone's noses, all all put together by the same systems used to enclose everybody and trap everybody into the debt cycle, the working life, to keep you busy. The same people that say they're there to protect you, and the systems are in place to your welfare, are the very ones involved.
Yeah, I agree. So, in addition to you putting together an ebook for children, what else have you got running for people to come and have a go at? Are you still on a tour around the UK doing speeches and courses and things?
Not so much speeches. I'm doing live events now, which are more geared around sort of like quantum healing. So I've got an event at the end of this month in Northumberland in Cramlington at a trampoline park. So we're going to do we're doing sound bath. So all the events I'm doing, I'm actually utilizing local healers. So it helps them with their business as well. So we've got a lady coming and does all like different sound bowls, gongs and stuff like that. So everyone's going to be on the trampoline park, just laid down with their blankets and everything. And then we'll do the sound bath, and then I'm going to take people through one of my breathwork sessions, which are really powerful, like connect people to their higher self. And then during that session, people can shed like old traumas, anxieties, things they need to, and then we go and then bounce it all out on the trampoline park, like as kids. So that's
idea.
So I've called it that's called Mission Consciousness, the inner child experience. So
What a brilliant idea.
so I'm going to be doing that around the country now.
Whenever we're in a childlike state,
Hmm.
children only know how to live in the moment, which is why they can't wait for anything. If they want their drink or their sweets or their tea, they want it right now. But they're living in the moment. They're living in a childlike state. So whenever we can get into that state of mind ourselves, that helps us to stay in the moment. So everything you've just said about the mission consciousness sounds like really fun. I wish I was coming actually.
Well, there'll be plenty of events, like loads. I'm going to try and do them as many places as possible, because
Yeah.
it's what people want. Like that they don't need somebody just standing in front of them just talking about some slight, as much as the information helps. It's the experience. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. It's the experience of being in meditation and the feelings that you get from it immediately and during the day after.
Mm,
You're exactly right. If you can't teach people spirituality as such, they have to experience it.
yeah.
Anything that you can do, like this event that you're putting together, that can help people to experience the calmness,
Mm,
the moment, or mindfulness, or anything
hmm
like that all helps people. It retrains their their internal clock, their
Yeah.
internal compass on how to be more calm and how to navigate their day in a less stressful way than they have been doing.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. It's interesting because I see so many different reactions, connections, experiences, like from every single event I've done previously. So I teach people all of the stuff about them, the power of the mind, the body, consciousness, and then finish it with a really powerful sort of like breathwork meditation that I've kind of built together. And I was in Scotland in December, and this guy came up to me at the end, and he said that he'd never like listened to any of this kind of stuff before, and his wife dragged him along. And he said, like, he goes, but I don't know. He goes, I've never meditated in my life. He goes, but I don't know what the hell you just did. I literally just saw like five beings in front of me, and they told me my soul name. I have no idea what it all means.
Yeah. Amazing. And how do I don't know if you keep in touch with your former military friends.
Mm.
If you do, what do they think about your journey that you've had over the last 3 years?
Well, I've got some really good friends that I've kept contact the last few years who are going through big shifts themselves. You know, experiencing like very similar things to me. You know, they're meditating a lot. You know, a lot of the guys in my team that I formed, ex-military, are like very very spiritual, and like we literally only really talk about esoteric stuff, which is amazing. But you can just see that they're real soldiers, like the real soldiers, you know, that are here for a mission.
Yeah.
But then obviously I've got lots of ex-colleagues who, you know, argued against me because they're very much in the system. You know, they're being lauded and applauded as like heroes for doing mass testing in hospitals on people and stuff like that. It's just, but you don't know what you don't know. And like, if you've been in the military since 16, you know, a lot of people are so heavily programmed, so intoxicated through different shots like that they want you to have. You know, you can't blame a lot of them. You know, a lot of a lot of people said a lot of nasty stuff about me, was spreading rumors about me. I think at one point there was a WhatsApp group go around about me that loads of people were members of,
Oh, God.
which I'm like, yeah, nice one, free advertising, cheers. But
Hey, what they'll be doing next, AJ,
but
the military will be contacting you to run meditation courses for the military.
maybe, but I don't know. They're always 10 years behind, like everything else. But yeah,
That
but
would
now I've had
make,
a lot of I've had a lot of old friends reach out that
yeah.
have said, mate, I like, totally get what you were saying now. Like, oh my God, like we were pointing our weapons in the wrong direction the whole time. And but I've also got like some people that have been injured quite significantly from the shots in the military that have come to me because they've been completely neglected by their military doctors and that, and who won't admit that it's from the shots. You
Mm.
know, one of my good friends has to take like 4 tablets a day, otherwise he'll go into a coma and die. So I've been helping him. One of my friends literally messaged me recently saying all his lymphomas on his body have gone from all the treatment and help I've been giving him. And he can't wait to get out of the military, and he doesn't want to be a part of it all. And I think that's one thing we're going to come to a point where we're going to have to say to the guys and girls in the military, like, what side of of history you're going to be on, because
Mm.
at the moment, you know, there's a lot, the British military is still kind of compromised. I know that the special forces guys are not, there's not many aware of what's going on, but again, they're so like tuned into their role, which is, you know, they're proper warriors, like, but with certain training, you know, they're trained how they want them.
Mm.
Um, so it's difficult to just get them to shift their whole mindset of everything they've ever known.
Yeah.
And when you're in the military, you get everything done for you. So you're not looking about really what's going on in the outside world and without much care, you know. And that's why spirituality in the military is like not a thing. I always joke and say, like, can you imagine standing at the sergeant's mess on a Friday night saying, "Yeah, lads, I'm sacking it early, like big meditation in the morning." It's just
Although people like Michael Jaco were able to combine the two,
yes,
and he talks about when he was on missions. Say, I think he talks about Afghanistan and places like that, where he was able to remote view, which means that he could see inside of buildings
yeah,
or ahead of him,
hmm
where potential dangers were.
yeah,
And he was able to then guide his team away from those dangers. So I do think there's a lot of benefits in people having those extra skills.
hmm 100%.
As
But
their
they utilized them. They utilized them at the same time, didn't they? So it's like we'll acknowledge your spirituality, but like on our terms. That's literally it.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to say was there are healing technologies that you can actually look at on my website, which is goldenheavenonearth.net. And if anybody has been injured by anything, and has anything going on like the lymphomas or the cancers or anything like that, there are different types of RIFE machines, scalar machines, plasma machines, which basically are frequency machines,
hmm
which they can tell that certain frequencies within your body are out of balance, which is what causes the illness. And then by having these frequencies then put back into your body through the equipment, it helps to reverse what you've got going on. There are thousands and thousands of testimonials about these pieces of equipment. In fact, my dog is currently sitting on one of the healing mats because he's been getting epilepsy, and you literally just plug the mat in, and your animal can lie on it. So, and there's all different types of healing technology. But if anybody is worried about any sort of illness because of taking the vaccines or anything like that, or just normal ailments, they can have a little look at that on my website under the technology section.
Yeah, and that's what people need to do as well. They need to just expand their minds to allow I guess the acceptance that this technology is of massive benefit to them, and you don't need to turn to chemicals, which in essence, I've always said the biggest hoax in human history is that we cannot heal ourselves and we need poison to fix us. And again, that the whole germ theory thing is the big thing that props up the whole of big pharma, and doctors and their qualifications and all of it. Like just that thing, the fact germ theory exists is what props it all up. And most, 99% of people's beliefs are based on that. But again, the programming in that starts really early on. We're all there, aren't we, when we're little kids, 3-4 years old, playing with little doctor's kits, and they've got like a vaccine in them. So we like practice giving each other vaccines as kids, don't we? So it was like this ingrained into us.
You've been playing doctors and nurses again.
But this time for the good.
I'm living in Europe.
It's better than playing kings and queens.
Exactly. I'm living in Europe at the moment, and the vets out here are slightly different in their approach in a lot of things. So they actually gave my dog CBD quite on prescription at the vet.
Yeah.
But if you went, I don't know if they're doing it now in the UK, but I do know that when I was in the UK, the vets wouldn't even entertain the idea that you could give your dog CBD for epilepsy. So, it's quite nice to see that in other countries, they're already using that.
Yeah. But again, it's the whole different approach, but it's like, in Europe, they're always going to have like much different approaches to stuff, and they're not so quick to just chuck pills at you and everything like the British are.
Well, that's partly because they've been poorer for longer. Sometimes been under a communist regime for many years, and so they haven't necessarily been able to keep up with the medicines that we have in, say, the UK, and so they've had to stick with the old traditional known ways. So that's partly it as well. Yeah,
and it's but CBD and or even cannabis is as in itself becoming widely more accepted as being medicinal for what it actually is. It's an ancient plant at the end of the day. Plants have been there a lot longer than us, and the petrochemicals haven't. So I think you just need to look at the two together. And in the UK, obviously, you've got the Cancer Act 1923 or whatever it is, and like people have been removed for showing everyone that cancer is healed using cannabis as well. And you only have to look at the irony that cannabis is classed as an illegal drug in the UK, yet the biggest cannabis growing farm and export in the east of England, I think it's in Norfolk, is owned by Theresa May's husband.
Yeah.
So, you only got to look at that in itself to put two and two together.
Okay, well, it's been great speaking to you today, AJ. I always enjoy speaking to you, and I think everyone's going to really enjoy what we've had to say. And again, I just wanted to make it clear that what I'm seeing when I look at you now compared to when we met is a completely different vibrational change. You've done amazing work. You're glowing. So well done you for doing all that internal process, because it's not an easy journey working on yourself.
It's not.
And I think, again, as I said earlier, that the reason you're experiencing so much success and people coming to you is a reflection of the hard work that you've been doing on yourself. So that's usually, I can see that very easily.
Thank
So
you.
anyway, till we see you next time, take care of yourself.
And you. And
And
I'll have to come in more often. You say really nice things about me.
just before we go, what's your website or where people can find you?
Yeah, they can find everything. My audio podcasts are on there. My socials, my courses. It's MrAJRoberts.com. So just MR for Mr.
Yeah.
MrAJRoberts.com. And you'll
Okay.
find everything on there.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, take care, lovely. And love you lots. See you next time.
Yes. Thank
Yeah.
you guys. Cheers.
Bye.